History is filled with coincidence. And for Paula Loop, a woman's Airforce Service pilot during World War II, coincidence would be a small part of her legacy. Born 12 miles northwest of Medford, Oklahoma, she would die 30 miles north of Medford, Oregon. Paula Ruth Loop was born in 1916, the first child of Elton Loop and Nettie Bartlett. She grew up on a 160-acre land claim that was claimed by her grandfather in the Oklahoma land rush of 1893. As the oldest child, Paula soon learned how to milk cows, can fruits and vegetables, sew, clean house, cook, and take on all the chores expected of a farm child. She was a hard worker, and when her 3 brothers and sisters began to arrive in 1920, she easily moved into the role of babysitter and attentive teacher. Life was hard on the farm, and rarely was there any extra money. Mrs. Loop sewed all the children's clothes, and everyone had to pitch in whenever possible to keep that farm afloat. Even so, Paula's parents made sure that all the children went to school and worked hard for a better life. Paula did not disappoint. Only the Great Depression stopped her from completing her master's degree. Paula could only find work as a secretary at an airport, but she soon found that she was in the right place at the very right time. Competing against both men and women, she became the first Oklahoma woman to win a flight scholarship offered by the Civil Aeronautics Authority, an earlier version of today's Federal Aviation Administration. The scholarship gave her 35 hours of flight training and a pilot's license at the end that she earned in September of 1940. Until the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941, she worked as a high school English and music teacher. But she wanted to do something to help win the war. But first, she decided to finish her teaching at the high school and then resign that summer. By that fall, she was a Link trainer instructor at the Ponca City, Oklahoma Aviation School. Link trainers were grounded flight simulators in which pilots learned to fly, especially at night, and without the danger of a crash. With the announcement of the formation of the Wasp program, with its chance for women to fly Army airplanes for deliveries within the United States and a portion or two of Canada, Paula applied, and with her more than 200 hours of flight time, she began training in Houston, Texas. For over a year after graduating in May of 1943, she flew fighters and training aircraft to locations all over the country, adding an additional 1,000 hours of flight time. In July 1944, Paula was flying solo in a brand new BT-13 trainer from Oklahoma to Seattle, Washington. Now, Wasp were not allowed to fly at night, and she had stopped overnight in Sacramento, California. "Next stop, Medford, Oregon," she said, in the last letter her parents would ever receive. A few hours later, she landed at the Medford, Oregon airport for refueling. And just before 3 that afternoon, she took off and turned the plane toward the north. She aimed her airplane at the pass between the mountains and began to climb. At about 3:30 in the afternoon, a fire guard with the U.S. Forest Service spotted a fire in the pass. He and a small crew rushed over a narrow mountain dirt road toward the scene. After a 4-mile hike through the woods, they discovered the wrecked airplane and put out a small fire. The left wing, nearly intact, had sheared off in the trees at the fuselage and dropped 150 feet from where the airplane ultimately struck the ground. The 60-gallon left wing fuel tank was still attached to the plane. It erupted on impact, its contents exploding in a violent fire that quickly turned the remaining fuselage into a twisted wreck, a framework of metal. Why Paula's plane had suddenly crashed just a few minutes after refueling and her takeoff from the Medford airport was never determined. The weather was good, a sunny July day with light winds and temperatures in the low 80s. The best guess was that Paula was unable to recover from a sudden downslope wind as she was about to cross over the mountain. Officials were sure that she died instantly on impact. Her body was taken to Camp White, a nearby Army training post, and then sent home for burial. Because Wasps were considered civilians at the time, the government paid no death benefit or any cost of transporting bodies home. Sadly, Paula was the 26th woman Air Force pilot of the 38 women Wasp who died while flying for their country during World War II. She never heard, "Thank you for your service." Thank you for watching. This is another in the series Sacrifice for Country, true stories of just one of the 38 women Air Force Service pilots, the Wasp, who died while flying in World War II. Have a great day and an even better tomorrow. Thanks.